Hey, this is Dave from Retired Time Productions, and this is a tutorial on all the steps to make a complete movie for YouTube with Magix Movie Editor Pro 2018 Plus. So this is a beginner tutorial, and I'm going to go through all the details you need to know to make a complete movie. So the first thing I want to talk about is the version. Now Magix doesn't put the name or the year anymore into the splash screen when it comes up. But if you want to know what version you have, you can just go to Help, About, and then it'll say right up here, so it says version 17. So this was made in 17, but it's actually the 2018 product. So I just wanted to make that clear. If this was a 2017 product, it would have a 16 there. So that's how to check your version to make sure it's right. So the first step for making a video for YouTube is to pick out a title for the video. So let's do that first. Now we want a title that's specific to the video and explains what the topic is about. And we also want a title that is easily searchable on YouTube so people can find it and ranks near the top in the videos during the search. So what we can do is type in a few words specific to the video we're going to do. I'm going to do an RC video since I've got an RC channel with planes and multi-rotors and stuff like that. And I'm going to do an ESC calibration video. See, I typed in twin and I got ESC throttle calibration. Yeah, that's about what I'm going to be doing. But I noticed when I did the search that multi-engine came up. So it doesn't look like many people are searching for twin engines. And if I take off the first part, look at that, 26,000 results. So you can see that's something people are searching for, and that's what we want, but we also want to make it unique about our video and narrow it down. So that's why I added these other features like this other text, like and brake setup, for example. I don't worry about the space. Okay, so that narrowed it down to like 2,000 results. And then if I put the multi-engine in, since this is multi-engine stuff, that further narrows it down. So we know we got a good category. Oh, well, that's pretty good. So 4,530 multi-engine ESC throttle calibration and brake setup. I think I like that. So the second step is I make a folder. So I've made a folder on my desktop with this title right here, which I picked up for search optimization. And then I put my material in here, the video clips that I've recorded and any audio I get, I put into this folder. Third step is to launch Magix Movie Editor Pro and give your movie project the same title. So I'm going to go ahead and check create a new project right here, and then I've copied the title from my folder that I just made and I'll paste it in there and click OK. Okay, so you can see at the top here I now have the title that I picked out that I'm going to be using. And so now when I make my movie, I'm going to make sure that it contains content that's relevant to this title. Keep in mind that lighting is very important to making a video too. So I have two key lights or fill lights, key/fill lights, up front here shining back at the bench and at me. Then I also have a backlight or hair light, you would call it, back/hair light, that reflects off the ceiling, and that also shines down on my head and on the bench as well. For set lighting, like if you have some interesting things in the back that you want to highlight, make it interesting for the viewer, you might put a set light in the rear. So that's a general idea for the lighting, and it's inexpensive. These are just LED lights. The one in the lamp here is also an LED light. Audio is also important, so what I do is I usually use some sort of lapel mic like this one right here and have it connected directly into the camera so you can see the wire going in there. Or I'll use some sort of mic like this, which has a windscreen that can go on the camera or be placed on the bench or above on a boom. So there's some ideas for the audio, but the audio is important. You don't want to make a video that has poor audio that no one can hear. So the fourth step is to drag in one of my video clips and start making the movie. So I'm going to take this video clip and bring it in. And I'm going to adjust the movie to the video clip. You can see that it's a 1080p movie at basically 24 frames a second. Right here. So let's go ahead and bring it in and adjust the movie to it. And there it is right there. I can scroll through and just see what we got. And there's me if you want to know what I look like. Alright, let's get started with the edit. So this area of the screen is called the arranger right down here. And this is where we make our movies, where we do all our editing. This can be in 4 modes, so you can put the arranger in storyboard mode like that, or you can put it in scene overview mode, or you can put it in timeline mode, which is the one I use the most. And there's also a multicam mode for switching back and forth between different camera angles in real time. And I'm not going to get into that here. I don't use that very much. So I'm in timeline mode, and if I wanted to bring in one more clip, for example, I could actually use this minus button down here to shrink the object down so I got room on the track. And then I could go back to my folder and just grab another clip like this and drag it down in there and drop it on the timeline. Okay? So now we got 2 clips. Here's one clip and there's another clip. Most of my movie is in 1 clip, so I'm going to have to go and trim this. And that's where I go to the tools up here. The trimmer tool is actually this one here that splits the objects. Okay, let's see if we can go ahead and split this into some different sections. So I'm going to go ahead and magnify it a little bit with this plus key. Now remember, we still have this other clip here, but I'm just going to be working with this one. So I'm going to magnify it quite a bit. Now I can go ahead and move this along. This is actually the marker, and you can move the marker along by just dragging it with your mouse. Hold down the left button of the mouse and drag it along, and you can see I'm scrolling through the movie. So this is one scene right here, and I'm talking about the plane. Now I move over here, I'm actually in a different scene. So I'm going to go ahead and splice it there. Alright, now I'm talking about something else in this section. And now I'm going around to a different place. I'm in this scene right here. So I'm going to go ahead and split that. This is just rough sectioning here so that I can get the different sections, an idea of the different sections. Now I'm going to talk about that for a while. Alright, just going through it. Using this down the bottom here, this little slider to move along. See if there's anything different there. That looks like it's... Okay, here's a different section where I'm talking about the directions, so I'll go ahead and split that. And now I'm back over here. So I'll just go ahead and split that. Alright. Okay, and then I've got my one clip that I can insert later. I haven't decided. This clip here is just me explaining about safety. So I'll probably put that in somewhere in the middle when I get done. So that is the trimmer tool. How to use the trimmer tool. Okay. Now let's talk about these mouse modes right here. So The first mouse mode is just single object mouse mode, and that's the one I'm in now. I can move an object around like this. Let me go ahead and you can use this double arrow here to make it fit the timeline, make all the objects, the information fit the timeline. That'll let me slide this over a little bit. Okay, so I'm in single object mouse mode, and you can see I can move just one object around. Now right here is a single track mouse mode. If I click that, now you can see all of the objects move together like that. Okay, I'm going to go back to single object, and I'm going to put one of these objects down here on the second track. Now when I go to single track mode, you can see just the top track moves. Now this third option is for all tracks. If I click that, all of the tracks will move. And that's so you can just slide things around as groups. And then finally you have one here which is the stretch mode, which is like if you want to time stretch a video. You know, change the speed of it, or maybe you're changing the audio to time stretch it. I'm not going to be using that right now, but I do sometimes to align things. Alright, so another thing I want to talk about is these two right here. This is group and ungroup. So I could actually ungroup a single object, like this actually has audio in it, so if I click ungroup, I can get the audio separately down here. And there's actually no way to get back out of that. I can't just click group and put them back together. It won't work. But I can hit the back arrow, or the undo. So I could do undo group, and that puts it back. And then there's redo. So that's your two arrows right there. So you have this one and this one that you can use to move back and forth between what you've just done. Okay, so that's a lot of the things right here. And then there's one more here, which is the magnet tool. Now the magnet tool actually makes things snap into place. So if I drag something over, it'll snap right up against the other one. Kind of handy. I recommend leaving that on. If you take it off, then it won't snap. You won't know if you really have the movies butted up against each other or whether they're overlapping. And you can leave blank spaces by accident. So I recommend leaving that on, just like that. And then we have a few other things here, like this is for delete. I also use the delete button on the keyboard. You can enter the text editor here. And then you have chapter markers that you can set, and snap markers if you want to snap to a certain place in the video. Good for aligning audio or something like that to your video. So that's the basic ideas right there. So don't worry, I'll go over some of these controls as I edit the movie so you can see how they're used. And I'll talk about the transport controls up here too later on. Now let's just go in and deal with the audio. Right now there's no audio waveform showing. You probably wouldn't even know what the audio waveform was because it hasn't been displayed yet. So let's go ahead and display the audio waveform. I'm going to go ahead and just drag a marquee around all the objects like that. And then I'm going to right click on the first one. I believe you could really right click on any one once they're marqueed, but go up to audio functions here. So what I did was, I might have skipped a step. So marquee it, right click on one, go up to audio functions and click create waveform display. And when you do that, you'll see a progress bar go across here. And that's calculating the graphics data. And when it's done, we'll have an audio waveform. Okay, now you can see the audio waveform on all the tracks. You can magnify the tracks a little bit over here on the side by hitting this plus key, this plus button. So you can see it like that. Or you can use the minus button to shrink it down. You can also go over here and do the same thing, I believe. Just by dragging between the tracks. These are your tracks down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think they go up to 64 tracks. so there's plenty of room to edit things. There's a solo button here if you just want to see one of your multiple tracks play by itself. There's a mute button to shut down a track if you don't want to see that one. And then there's a lock all objects on the track, and then the thing to make it maximize or minimize. So that's pretty much it for these little buttons here. Now if you want this audio waveform to show up every time you import an object, you can do that in the settings. Go up here to File, Settings, Program, right here. Then go to Video Audio right here on this tab, and this automatically create waveform during import. So that's all you need to do. There's other features in here too that you can select to your liking. So I've got it on NTSC right here and half waveform display, and I don't have the grid lines on, and some other things you can see here. So that's the way I have it. Click OK. Alright, so next time we bring an object in, the waveform will be created automatically. Okay, so let's get into more detail about how to use all the controls by editing this first video object here. So let's go ahead and use the plus key down here to just increase the magnification. And then we'll find out where we want to make our first cut. Let's start and play it. So now we're going to use the transport controls. I'm going to hit this to arrow here to play it. I think it's going to be somewhere in here.
Hello, this is Dave from Retired Time Productions. Have you ever had...
Right there.
Hello, this is Dave from Retired Time Productions.
I've been using these buttons up here, so I hit the stop button just to stop it. Now there's another way you can do this instead of using these transport controls, which I like, because up on these transport controls there's actually no button to stop at the current location. So I can play it like this, but when I stop it, it goes back to the beginning where I started. So that's acting the same as the space bar. For example, if I press the space bar, it'll play, and if I press the space bar again, it'll go back to the beginning. What I like to do is stop it at the current location, so I use the K key on the keyboard. And you can actually use J, K, and L as the transport controls on your keyboard. So if I press J, you'll see the marker move backward. I press K, it'll stop. And if I press L, it'll move forward until I get where I want.
Hello, this is Dave.
So when I said, hello, this is Dave, that's where I stopped, right there. And then I can get more fine with it.
Hello, this is Dave. Hello, this is Dave. Hello, this is...
So that's perfect right there where it says, hello, this is Dave. So I'm going to go ahead and make my cut there. Now to delete an object, I can either go to the trash can here and click delete, or I can just press delete on the keyboard, which is what I usually do. So you can do it either way. So let's just use the trash can so you can see what I'm doing. So I pressed the trash can button and I deleted it. Okay, now let's put this in this mouse mode for single track. I'll go back to the double arrow so I can see everything. Now let's just move this clip to the beginning because I've got it trimmed. And now we'll just I'll listen to the clip all the way through and see if there's anything I want to edit. For example, I may want to edit off the end where the camera stops or where I made the cut. So let's see what I say.
Brake and turn the brake off, so stay tuned.
So I said, stay tuned.
Brake off, so stay tuned.
So that's good right there. I'll go ahead and make the other cut there. And this down here is just me moving around preparing for the next scene. So I'll delete that. I hit the minus key here just to show you. So I'm going to delete this little end piece. Now I'll go ahead and use the trash can again. Remember, you could use the delete key on the keyboard. Alright, and then we'd move on to our next clip. But where I said stay tuned, that would be a good place to put the intro in for your channel. So let's go ahead and put one of the predefined intros that come with Magix. If you have the Plus version, you'll get a lot of the templates. And under templates, you'll find intros and outros right here. So you can click on that, and you can see a bunch of different ones in here. Right here, intros and outros. Alright, now we can go down through here and pick one out. I'm going to choose this one, and you can test these by just clicking the arrow and see what it looks like. So that's pretty cool. So let's use that one. So all we have to do is left click it and drag it down to the timeline and put it on one of the video clips. So I'll put it on this next one. Okay. Now we've got multiple tracks here because we have the intro, which is made up of several objects like a movie, some audio, and an objects and some text. So we need to go to this all tracks mouse mode here. Now let's just drag the whole business up against the first clip. Now we have a little intro, so when we come along we'll say,
so stay tuned.
So I'm saying stay tuned, and then I'll put my channel intro in there. Okay, so now we need to edit the text on the intro. So we'll come down here and find out where that is. I think it's this one. Yeah, that's it right there. So just double click that. Okay, I'll double click it. Alright, there we go. Now we can change it right here. Let's make it retired time productions. Like that. And I don't think we need the intro anymore. Don't need the name intro. And we might want to change the size a little bit. So let's just go ahead and check it first to approve it. Click this checkbox. There we go. Actually, I think we can change the size right here, which might be a little better. Oh no, it's right here actually. Here we go. Here's the size. So that should be smaller right there. Oh, I'm off it. There we go. Now we got it smaller. Let's see how that looks. So that's looking better. We can make it maybe a little bigger. We could even go ahead and break this up here. Maybe put the productions underneath. And yeah, we'll have them centered right here. Maybe we can go back up a little bit bigger now. Alright, let's see what we got. Yeah, like that. So there we go. Retired Time Productions.
So the problem is that one ESC is...
So that's my intro, and then I can do the same thing for an outro later. Back over here in Effects, or Templates rather, you could go back in and do the same thing. Go back into intros and outros and just pick the same format, the same scheme, the outro right here, and put that at the end of the movie. But we can get into that later. Okay, now that we've got our intro in place, let's go ahead and trim off this second clip. I'm going to magnify with the plus button again. Let's see what I say. Okay, I'm really not doing much there. I'm finishing up.
But it can happen inadvertently. Okay, so what do we do to fix it?
Okay, so that was the end of that clip.
Okay, so what do we do to fix it?
I'll just leave a little bit left over there because I'm going to show you how to do a fade. Alright, let's split that and take this section out. And now in the next section, and I'm still in the multi-track mouse mode here, all tracks, sliding everything along. Let's look at the next clip. You can see here again, I'm just preparing to get ready for the next scene. And this is actually going to be a change in context, a change in view. So we probably want to put in some sort of transition. Let's see where I start talking.
Okay, getting started now. Da, 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 da. Okay, so what we do to fix it is... Okay, so what we do to...
So right there, I'm talking about fixing it. Let's cut that piece out. Now I used the delete key on my keyboard that time. That's why you didn't see me go for the trash can. But we want to do a fade right here. Since this is a change in context of the movie, it'd be good to do some sort of transition. So the simplest one is just to overlap the two videos. And you can see I can just drag one over the top of the other.
Okay, so what...
And you can see it.
Okay.
Sort of fade there. Let me make it a little larger so it's more prominent.
Okay, so what we do
so you can see that fade. Now, what we could do if we just don't want a simple fade like that, you can press the N key as in Nancy on the keyboard, press N, and it'll bring up this tool right here, the trimmer editor. And in the middle there's a box that you can click and pick a fade. So let's put the flying fade in since we got a plane here. So put the flying.
Okay.
So the flying fade should be in there. And we can test it by just pressing the arrow.
Okay, so what we do.
Okay, and then we'll just accept it if we like it. Click OK. Now we can move this along and we can see the image fly in there. Do it again.
Okay, so what we do to...
Now if we want that to be a little longer, we could make it a little longer by just moving this over.
Fix it. Okay, so what we do
That's
to
pretty
fix
good
it,
right there.
Fix it. Okay, so what we do to fix it is, first of all...
Alright, so that's how to do a fade. Nice simple way, and anytime you want to change that fade, you can just go back, put the cursor right there, press the N key, and pick a different one. Say I wanted gliding. Now I'll click OK.
What do we do to fix it? Okay, so what we do to fix it is first... What do we do to fix it? Okay, so what do we do to fix it? Okay, so what we do to fix it...
I like that. I like that gliding fade. So let's keep that one. Okay, so I'm going to go in and check the end of this one right here. See what's going on.
And if you want to know, let me get my sheet here. Here.
So I'm just getting ready to show the instructions. Trim that. And then I get into showing the sheet. Let's see, there's a bunch of stuff there.
Most ESCs have a manual like this. Most ESCs have a manual like this that you can...
And I'll trim that. And then you can kind of see the progress I'm making here. So I'm talking about the manual.
Listed in a table.
Oh.
And
that happens to be the mixer.
You can change.
I accidentally hit M, I believe. Did I hit M? Yes, that brings up the mixer. You can also get to the mixer right here by clicking this icon, and that brings up the mixer. And while I'm in there, I'll just tell you can change the audio on each track with these individual track sliders. Okay? And then the overall master mix you can change with this one. But I'll get into that in more detail at another time. You also have effects that you can add to a track by bringing this up. You can use the compressor, the 10-band equalizer. This is the 10-band equalizer here where you can adjust the volume at each frequency, each band. And then there's reverb and there's echo. So you can add all those effects to a track, which is kind of handy. Okay. Let's continue on, and I'll just finish this editing on the beginning and end of each of these clips, and then we'll move into finishing up the video. So towards the end of the video here where I'm wrapping it up, I went ahead and put in one more fade. And this is just a simple fade that goes from the instruction part to the wrap-up of the video. Now, speaking of the wrap-up, it's a good idea on YouTube, if you want more subscribers, to actually ask your audience to subscribe. So I usually do that at the end and just put it in like right here.
It's one of those things that you just have to learn. So if you want to hear about more RC tips, just stay tuned to my channel and subscribe if you're not, and we'll see you later.
So you see there, I actually ask my viewers to subscribe, because sometimes if you don't, they won't. I mean, you need to ask people to help your channel out and to support your channel, and they usually will if you honestly ask them. So that's why I recommend you put that at the end of your videos if you want more subscribers, or at least do it in the text, or at the end in your outro you might have please subscribe. Another thing I often do at the end is I'll throw in an end screen, and you can make an end screen also with Magix. That would probably be an entirely another video, but I'll just show you what one looks like. I got one more clip there that's the safety clip I have to insert, but I'll show you what an end screen looks like. So here's the end screen object, which I previously made in another session with Magix, and it's just 30 seconds of video that basically has my logo, a pulsating arrow, and subscribe here. And when you finally publish your video, when you're on YouTube, you can pop in like some thumbnails here that you can grab from your channel of other videos, recommended videos for people to watch on your channel. But you do that when you publish it. All you need right now is just the end screen as a placeholder for those things. But that would be another video, like I said, and I'll get into it. But here's what the end screen looks like. So it just plays some music. It has a background here, and that background came from Magix. That's included in some of the templates, this moving background. And then the arrow also came. That was another object that came from Magix from their collection. So I just used Magix and my logo, which I made. Okay, so to insert a movie object into your timeline, you want to be in single track mouse mode to start with, right here. Take the object you want to insert and bring it over where you've made a cut. I've made a cut right here to split the object. I want to insert this right in here. So I use the scissors to make this cut. Now I'm going to go back to multi-track, move all this out of the way, give me a space to sit, to insert it. Alright, now back to single track, or single object rather, single object mouse mode. Move the object in there, go back to multi-track, and then slide that in. So now it's inserted right in there. Now let's magnify with the plus key here, so we can see the inserted object, and let's see how it plays out.
I'll turn off the radio. Just a safety note, it's a good idea to remove. Just a safety note, it's a good idea to. Just a safety note, it's a good idea to. Just a safety note, it's a good idea to.
Okay, I played that over and over till I could get the marker right where the voice began. I might want to magnify that a little bit more and put it right there. Let's see.
Just a safety note.
So that's perfect right there. I'll go ahead and trim it. Delete the object. Hey, I'll just use the trash can this time. Alright, so now it'll do that. Now let's go to the end of the insert, which is right here.
That it can't move.
Alright, now make a cut there and remove that little piece. This time I'll press the delete key, so trash can or the delete key.
And lead weight so that it can't move. And this is the throttle calibrate.
Alright, so that was a little bit of wasted time there, so I'll just go ahead and trim that piece out.
So that it can't move. And this is the throttle calibration for the ESCs.
Okay, so now we got the whole movie done just about. A few little things we can do. one thing I skipped over was if you didn't want to use the end screen, you could have put an outro there. And being in templates and then coming down to intros and outros, let's see if I can find that again right here. And we want to grab that one that was the same as our intro, this one here. Just drag that down, place it on here, and so that would be our outro if we wanted it. Like that. And we could type in what we wanted for the title, like "Thanks for watching" there. Okay, but I'm not going to use the outro. I have the end screen. Okay, so I'm just going to go to Change Effect and remove that. So just use the undo to remove that outro because I'm not going to be using it. I've got my end screen instead, this one right here. Okay, so that's all done. Now we might want to put some titles in, like at the beginning of the video. Yeah, I'm doing some talking, I'm doing some explaining about the video, what it's about, but it'd be nice to have a title there. So let's go ahead back to full, and then let's stretch that out with a plus key. Alright, let's put a title in. So we're going to go to the title screen, back to Effects, go to Title Editing, right here, highlight the object. You must highlight the object to activate the title edit screen. Alright, so now we can do something. We can either just start typing a title in here, or you could pick a title from templates. I think what I'm going to do is I have some saved templates here, so I'm going to load a template, and I'll just use one that I've saved. So you can actually save titles that you like. So I've got one saved here. I'm going to have to go back to single track, or single object rather, single object mouse mode. Bring that title up there, and now I can edit it. And we'll say we could just basically use the same title that's going to be our movie title up here, or on the thumbnail it could be just about anything. So let's talk about thumbnails while we're doing this too. So this might be my thumbnail, I don't know, but I want my title to be similar to my thumbnail. Alright, just do that. It doesn't have to be the same as the movie title. Yeah, that looks pretty good right there. Now I can just click on it and move it around where I want it. Kind of like that. Okay, so I don't want to cover my face, so I'll just put it right here. Throttle and brake settings. You can do that, and there's even some predefined titles in the templates tab too that have predefined text rather that you can get in the templates. But this is good enough for now. Okay, now we can use a couple other features that I want to just wrap up with. And one is you might want to save one frame as a thumbnail. So I kind of like this black above here where I could put in my title for my channel or for my movie. I want to get a place where I'm looking excited, maybe, where I'm pointing at the plane right there. That's pretty good. If you can catch yourself smiling, that would be good. Maybe you should smile. It's always good to get your face in the movie somewhere so people can identify with you and talk to them in a conversational manner so that they can basically get to know you and appreciate you for who you are. It helps the channel, I think. So let's just use that frame right there. Now here's the trick. I'm going to go ahead and mute the text because I will probably put my own text in using Adobe Photoshop or something like that. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and mute that text with the mute button right there. So that mutes that track. Now I'll go ahead and export that. So going down to Export Movie, and then I'm going to go down to Single Frame as JPEG. So I just want a JPEG. But I don't want 1080. YouTube will only accept the thumbnail as big as 720. At least that's the way they've been in the past. So I'm going to go with 720. And let's just, so I can distinguish it from other things that I save, let's just put thumb at the end like that. Alright. Now let's look and see where it's going. Going in kind of a weird place. So let's open this up, and I'm going to go to desktop and find my movies shortcut, and I think I'll just put it in there. So I'm going to save it. Okay, now I got a thumbnail that I can fix up later to put up on my channel. And if you're a partner, and anyone can be a partner nowadays, you can upload a custom thumbnail. So that's what we want to do. So let's click OK. We know where it's going. We know what the name of it is. Click OK, and it's exported. Now we can just go ahead and turn this back on for our movie. Got our throttle and brake settings. Okay, did I spell it right? I hope so. Now, that pretty much completes the movie. Another thing you can do is under Effects right here. I like the new tiles that 2018 has. The other versions didn't have these tiles that gave you a little picture, which I really like these pictures to tell you what the function does. So this is under Video Effects, under the Effects tab. So if it looks a little dark, you can always go to like Brightness Contrast right here, highlight the object that you want to affect. You can hit Auto Exposure. If I do that, it'll kind of sharpen things up a little bit. Another way, I'm going to turn that off for now. Another way you can do it is actually you can adjust the brightness and contrast right here, or you could turn up the gamma. See how the gamma really brightens it up? See, it was kind of dark before, and now the gamma kind of brightens it up. You don't want to overdo it, but you might want to just turn it up a little. Maybe turn, this will bring up the background and highlights, which probably isn't a good idea for this one because I want to keep the background dark. But just little changes like that can make a big difference. If you want more contrast, you could add that in like that just to sharpen it up a little bit. Like I say, you don't want to add too much to make it too artificial looking. But you can do that right there. And the color looks pretty good because I used very good lighting on my set, so I got pretty good lighting. But if the color was wrong, you can either go in here to this wheel and say you had too much yellow. You could take it out and go blue like that, or green. So you can adjust. If you have a bad tint, you can correct it. And say that the color temp was wrong and you just wanted to go back to normal, you can click this double arrow and that just brings it back to normal so that you don't have to worry about trying to get back where you were. Or you could hit undo. Okay, and the other thing you can do is color correction. Let's bring that up. This is very similar, except it's got these sliders here. You can still move this center button around to adjust things, and you can see the sliders, or you can just move one of them. Like level, angle, saturation. Okay, again, don't like it, just hit the double arrow. And under this, back on this color one, by the way, it had saturation too. It's up at the top. So if you wanted to saturate your colors really bright, or you thought you didn't want color, you just want a black and white, you can do that. You can make it a black and white movie. Again, I can just hit that to go back to 0 on that. And so I just thought I'd show you those things. There's also chroma key here, which a lot of people know about that, but I'll just mention it. That's if you have a green screen, like you're standing in front of a green screen and you want to put a fake background behind there. Then you'd choose this green for the chroma key, and that would just basically cut you out of the picture so that you could substitute a different background behind yourself. So that's where you get the green screen effect. So the screen can actually be black, it could be blue, it could be white, and then you got water effect and alpha effect too. So there's quite a bit you can do there, but that's probably a whole nother video. In fact, I do have a video already on doing green screening. And then you have some other ones like sharpness here, which can sharpen up the video quite a bit if you want to do that. And this one is one people ask me about quite often, and that's speed. This will actually speed up the video or slow down the video just by moving this slider. And also in here, which is a question often asked, what if I want to reverse the video? There's a reverse checkbox right there. You just check that and that'll reverse the video. Amazing, huh? I really like that feature. So that's all under video effects. Now also under animation, you have a lot of stuff like size and position of the video. Like if you wanted to have one video be a little box up in the corner, you could size and position it with this. Just by doing that, and then you move this marquee around to get different sizes. There's camera zoom if you want to zoom in on part of the video and just show a certain section. You can do that. There's also one called section, which you can just first pick a section you want and then use zoom. There's rotation. Say your video's upside down or flipped. You can unflip it or do whatever you want there. So there's just so much to this program. It's amazing, and I like these new tile views that can easily be used. Okay, let's talk about the audio. Sometimes we have audio that's different volumes. Like I'm coming along here and I actually go from this clip to one that was recorded with a different microphone that was directly from the camera. So we want to make sure those levels are the same, because if you have different levels, it may take away from your presentation. People may wonder what's going on. So let's try to keep the levels even. So let's listen to this level.
And then I'll turn off the radio. Just a safety note, it's a good idea to remove the props from...
So those levels are maybe a little bit off, not too bad.
We start over again. Let's go ahead.
So we can even look at it with the mixer here. Let's just do it again.
And then I'll turn off the radio.
Watch it right here.
Just a safety note, it's a good idea to remove the... And then I'll turn off the radio. Just a safety note, it's a good...
Well, they're pretty close together, I think. If they weren't, we could go down here. Now this slider here, I got to say, this affects the entire track. We only want to affect a single object. So what we could do is go down here, and there's a slider right here that it's on 0 right now, 0 dB. We could make that track louder by bringing it up, or softer by going into the minus section right here. So if it was really loud like this, say you were coming along.
And then I'll turn off the radio. Just a safety note, it's a good...
So that's really too loud. Then you could just bring it down till it matches the other one. Like that.
And then I'll turn off the radio. We're doing this procedure. However, for the...
So I wanted to mention that. So you can either use this single object volume control right here, or you can affect the whole track by clicking the mixer and moving the slider for that track. Alright, so now that we got the movie done, let's go ahead and export it. Generally, I think people on YouTube watch movies for an average of 3 minutes. That's the average watch time. Like 3 minutes they'll watch a movie. So I try to keep my movies short where possible. However, this is an exception because it's a tutorial. It's a complete tutorial of all the steps, so it is going to be long. But you don't want to watch the whole thing if you just want to see one step. So I'll put a jump table underneath the video in the description, so that you can jump to different points. But for now, I'm going to keep this video that I'm making down as small as I can make it, and I've got it to about 5 or 6 minutes, and I think that's plenty long for YouTube. So let's go ahead and export it. We'll go ahead and do export movie. MPEG-4, which is my favorite format. I use that all the time. It's compressed a little bit, but it makes a movie that's not too large for upload. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and display all here. I'll just show you the selections here for MPEG-4 are quite extensive. I usually just use the full HD 1080 in a case like this, which is right here. So there's one right there that's real close. So I could select that one. And it's basically the right format. I don't see anything wrong with it. We can go to advanced and see what's in here. Yeah, the settings look good. So that's what I'm using right there. And it's got the right frame rate. And we can look to see where the movie is going. It's going into movies, which is good. I've got export selected range checked here because I just want to capture what's between these end markers right down here, the beginning and end markers. And if those aren't at the beginning and end, you can always set it with this double arrow. Click that and it'll put the end markers where they are. And if you want to move the end markers in to capture just a section of the video, this feature here is pretty handy because it'll only export the range between those beginning and end markers. But anyway, that makes sure I've got what I want. If I wanted some blank space at the end of the movie, I could put this marker out beyond the movie to record some blank space. I'm not going to do that, but you could. Okay, let's go ahead and click OK. And I'll overwrite my previous attempts. Now it's complaining about these being a little different on the frame rates, but they're close enough. In fact, it looks like the same number to me, so I don't know what the difference is. But I'll just hit continue. And then it's talking about jumping to an empty section. And that's usually caused by these intros right here. Where I put an intro in, there's a little bit of black space right in there. I'm just going to ignore that and go ahead and export. Okay, so let's let it go export, and then we'll talk about uploading it to YouTube. Okay, so another question I get sometimes is how do you add music to the video? Well, what I do is I download some royalty-free music, and I usually give a pitch to the company I got it from in my video to let them know that I'm using their music, and YouTube's okay with that. So what I do is I'll take an MP3 file that I've downloaded, and then I'll just drag it over into the movie. So just drag it over onto the timeline like this and drop it. Okay. Now we've got our music in here. Well, let me get back out of that mode and go into single object mode. So say I wanted to put the music in, say, right here, where I'm starting to do the break calibration. Okay, so the way we fix it is we go ahead and turn the radio on first. So you see what I did there? You can adjust the volume with this slider right here. And just
go ahead and
you don't want to override your voice, but you can adjust it right there.
Throttle hold, so I'll just turn that off so it's not on hold.
Now also, there are some handles here where you can fade the music in and out. Well, let me bring this volume back up here. It might be easier to see. So put it back up at the normal volume, somewhere around 0. Okay, so now these handles here that are at the edges, that'll bring the music in, fade it in, and you can also fade the music out at the end. So that's the way you handle the audio. You can also use the mixer, but that affects the whole track. Remember the mixer I showed you? That affects the whole track, and we just want to affect this one object. So that's how you do it. This is the overall volume for the object right here, and then you have your handles at the ends that you can fade in, fade out the audio. And by the way, you can do the same thing with the audio on a movie track as well, like one of these. They also have the ability to change the audio right here. There's handles at the ends of the movie. And the video, as I showed you, you can fade the video, and there's handles at the end of the video objects to fade them in and out if you want to. So that's just a brief explanation of how to handle audio, how to get it in, how to control the fades on it, and it's pretty self-explanatory once you try it. So do you remember that thumbnail that I saved from Magix? I saved a frame out of the video. Well, I'm working on that now. I just put some text in using Adobe Photoshop, and then I have some tabs that I've made earlier. They're just GIF files. And sometimes I'll bring them in and just go ahead and put them into the video. And without giving a whole tutorial on Adobe Photoshop, I'm just going to show you. I take the GIF file, move it in, put my tab in, And you can use any editor you want, but I'm going to transform the scale on this just so I can make it a little smaller, and just do that. Just move it in there. So this is a how-to video. And it's a good idea to have something like this on all your thumbnails, so all your thumbnails look consistent. When people look on your channel, they can see that your thumbnails look similar. And on YouTube, when the people do a search, if people like your videos, if you have a specific look, it'll make it easier for them to find your videos. So I usually put these tabs on just so you all can find them. Just like that. So that's pretty obvious that that's one of my videos. I'm going to keep the thumbnail simple. I don't want to make it too overcomplicated because the eye will just get confused and it'll be hard to read any more text than this. Just keep it simple, keep the text large, keep the objects high contrast, and your thumbnails will be pretty good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save that. And apply that transformation, save it. And now I'm also going to save it as a JPEG. I'll probably just overwrite the original thumbnail JPEG, which is right here. So I'll just go ahead and overwrite that. And so there it is. I'm done. So I'm on my video manager on YouTube right here. I'm going to go ahead and do an upload. So let's click this upload arrow, and that brings up the upload screen. Now we can just drag our video onto that and start it uploading. Now at the same time we can also add the thumbnail which we've created. So let's do custom thumbnail, and I need to find that. So it's on my desktop under the movie folder. There it is. And the thumbnail is the one that says JPEG right here. So I'll open that. Just let that download, or upload, pardon me. And there it is. It's filled in now. So there's my thumbnail. Alright, we'll just let that upload. And while we're doing that, we can work on our customizing our description. Let's move this over. So we got multi-engine ESC throttle calibration and brake setup. That's what we decided on. So I'm just going to leave that the way it is. So the first thing I did was repeat the title of the movie in the description right here. And then I took this link over here, which is to this movie, and put that in there, just so when the search engines read this information, there'll be a link for your movie in there, and that'll be propagated throughout the internet, so that helps. Then I put in a brief description of what the whole movie is about, and I try to use words that might be good for tags and for search terms. I got ESC throttle calibration in there. I got brake setup in there again, brushless motor, things like that that will help people to find it. Okay, now let's do some tags down here. We know ESC throttle calibration was one of the terms that really got a lot of hits when we did our tag investigation. So let's do this. At the beginning of the video, I went through and found out what title got the most response from searches. So this was one. And then putting the multi-engine on there was also good. So I'll stick that in there. And I'm also going to put in twin engine, just because that's what I would search for, but it seemed like a lot of people weren't. But I'll just go ahead and put it in twin engine throttle calibration. And then some people might not even know they need throttle calibration, so I might put let's put brushless motors wrong speed, just in case they're searching something like that. And I'll put twin engine motor problem. I'm just throwing in some things that I think people might search for, and we'll see how they rank later on. So twin engine motor problem. Okay, so we got a few tags in here, and the idea with these is they should be related to the title, to the description, and be a tag that people would search for, or a phrase that people would be likely to enter in when they're looking for this problem. Now let's go to the playlist. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down through here and see if I can find one. This is actually related to my Bushmule build that I was doing, my RC Bushmule build, so maybe I'd want to put it under that. There it is right there. I'll just put it under that one. Oh yeah, once it uploads, I'll show you how to fill in the end screen, because that's kind of interesting. So I'll just let that upload, and then we'll do the end screen. Alright, the movie's all uploaded and processed and ready to go, except we don't have the end screen set up yet. So let's do that end screen. Now I can't do it from here that I know of. I haven't found a link to go to the end screen. So what you do is you go back to your video manager. Once you're back at your video manager, then you hit the edit button for the video you just uploaded. I know this doesn't make sense, but somehow it seems to work. Now you can see it pops up with end screen and annotations right here. So we can go in there, and what it's going to do is grab that 30 seconds at the end of my video, and you can see it starts right in that area where the end screen is, so that last 30 seconds. And then you can add an element. So the first thing I want to do is add the subscribe element. So I'm going to hit create right here. And when I do that, it puts my subscribe element in there, and then I'll just place it over that logo that I had there. That logo is really just a placeholder to tell me where to put this. So, alright, let's add another element. The next one I like to add is a video or playlist. So let's start with best for viewer. So YouTube will pick the one or try to match a video to what the viewer likes, and it always pops it up here in the upper left hand corner. You have to drag it down where you want it. So that's where I put that type of video, right down in this corner. Now let's add another element. Go to the same place, video or playlist, and I'm going to choose one this time, and I think I'll choose how to install Magix Movie Editor Pro. That's related. So let's choose that. Create element. Alright, it's up in the corner again, so I'll put that here. Now you can put up to 4, I think. So I'm going to put one more, 2. Alright, so now let's save it. Alright. Now we've done that. No, I don't want to do the template. Okay, now let's go back to info and settings. So we have everything lined up here. The next thing we want to do is publish it. So let's go ahead and publish the video. Make it public. And I'll put a link to this video underneath this Magix tutorial, so you'll see the video, you'll see the output. This video here will also be available for you to watch. Okay, so let's publish it. Alright, that should have done it. So I showed how to use Magix Movie Editor Pro and most of the details that a beginner could use to make a movie, and I've also showed you how to get it up on YouTube and how to make it more search friendly. I hope that all helps for you to enhance your channels and get more views. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'd like to have you back, and hit that notify bell to make sure you get notified when I put up a new video. And any questions, of course, you can leave them under this video. Thanks for watching.